Hello everybody. Today what we are going to be looking at is a case which is related with the concept of attitude. We've seen at length what is attitude, and we've seen that how crucial an element it is as far as the organization and the behavior patterns goes. We've seen that attitude modifies or changes the behavior pattern which is exhibited by an individual. We have a case which is here, and at the end of it we are going to be looking at a few of the questions which relate to the topic, and we are going to try and find out solutions for the same. We are taking up this case study because we would like all of you to understand how to handle a case, what are the points to be identified in the case, and what should be looked upon and done while looking at a case scenario. The good part about case studies is that they don't have any wrong way of solving them. When we say, it means that a case study throws at you what you think is the right possibility which is there. Which means I may think in a X manner, you may think in a Y manner, another gentleman may think it in a Z manner. Now all the X, Y and Z options may be workable and viable. At the end of the case study, what needs to be understood and what needs to be seen is that is a combination of all the thought processes which are coming out in the given circumstances the best suitable situation or not. Let's go through the case and see what it states and how we can try to solve these situations or understand these situations. It's crucial to handle some cases because it tells us how theoretically and practically things tend to vary. Let's go through the case first. When Rohit Mahajan joined the ABC Corporation, he started out as an assembler on the line. Rohit remained in this position for 5 years. During this time, there were two major strikes. The first lasted 5 weeks and the second went on for 18 weeks. As a member of the union, Rohit was out of work during these periods, and in each case the strike fund ran out of money because a labor agreement was reached. Last year, Rohit was asked if he would like to apply for a supervisory job. The position paid was rupees 2,500 more than he was making in his current job, and the chance for promotion up the line made it an attractive offer. Rohit accepted the offer. During the orientation period, Rohit found himself getting angry at management representatives. This guy seemed to believe that the union was too powerful and management personnel had to hold the line against any future loss of authority. Rohit did not say anything, but he felt the speaker was ill-informed and biased. Two developments have occurred over the last 6 months, however, that have led Rohit to change his attitude towards the union management relations at the company. One was a run-in he had with a shop steward who accused Rohit of deliberately hassling one of the workers. Rohit could not believe his ears. Harassing a worker? Get serious. All I did was tell him to get back to work, he explained to the steward. Nevertheless, grievance was filed and withdrawn only after Rohit apologized to the individual who he supposedly harassed. The other incident was a result of a disciplinary action. One of the workers in his unit came late for the third day in a row, and as required by the labor contract, Rohit sent him home without pay. The union protested, claiming that the worker had really been late only twice. When Rohit went to the personnel office to get the workers' clock-in sheets, the one was for the first day of tardiness. Members claimed that they did not know where it was. In both these cases, Rohit felt the union went out of the way to embarrass him. Earlier this week, the manager from the orientation session called Rohit. I have been thinking about bringing line supervisors into the orientation meetings to discuss the union's attitude towards management. Having been on the other side, would you be interested in giving them your opinion of what they should be prepared for and how they should respond? Rohit said he would be delighted. I think it's important to get those guys ready to take on the union and I would do my share, he explained. This is the case which we have in front of us now. I hope all of you have had an overview of the situation. Just to quickly run over the case for better understanding, we have a gentleman who's working as a worker in an organization. Obviously, as a worker, he is a part of the union which is there and has been supporting the union activities. And despite pressing the demands of the union, in both the cases, the strike has come to an end where a solution and agreement has been reached out. Now, this gentleman gets an opportunity to shift from the worker situation to a supervisor situation, and he accepts it. He accepts it thinking that he is now moving out for better prospects for himself and can move up the ladder. But he runs into a couple of odd situations while he is at the supervisory jobs. First, his initial start is that he is upset with the management because he thinks the management does not understand the viewpoint of the union and they are not well informed and are biased towards the workers who are there. But as time has passed, the gentleman has run into situations against workers because the workers now believe he is on the other side of the table. He tells a worker to get back to work, which is presented as being harassed, and he has to apologize to the person for harassing. In true situations, he's not done that. He's actually only advised the person to get back to work. On the other hand, a worker who's been walking in late has been penalized as per the laws by him, but his case is not supported by the HR personnel department who have not kept their records in place properly. And due to this, he has to take back the punishment that he has given. In other words, he has to pay the worker the non-paid leave which he has put him on. Now, as time passes or as situation arises, this guy is selected by the management to come into the orientation process and give his viewpoint on how to handle or how to go about the process of dealing between the management and the trade union or the workers that is there. And here this guy sees an opportunity to tell or to show to the union workers that they need to be handled properly and the management needs to be ready on how to handle them. So this is the case scenario that we have as a live example which is there. We are going to jump up to the questions which have been posted on this case. Let's see what the questions are and then we are going to try and find solutions for the same. The first question, what was Rohit's attitude towards the union when he became a supervisor? What barriers are there that initially prevented him from changing his attitude regarding the union? The second question is, why did Rohit's attitude change? What factors accounted for this? And the third question is, are workers who are recruited for supervisory positions likely to go through the same attitude change as Rohit did? Let's try finding the answers. The first question, what was Rohit's attitude towards union when he became a supervisor? What do we see here? we see that here is a dedicated man whose attitude is that he wants to represent, he wants to support, he wants to fight out the case raised by the unions which are there. He thinks the union's approach of going on a strike or unions approach of protesting is their right. Unions are right in their approach of not succumbing under the pressure of the management and laying down their demands. Despite the fact that they have been going through rough times, they have fought out their way and come to agreeable solutions. So, his attitude towards the management or his attitude towards the union is of a group. He feels that he was a part of the group which was the union. He believes that the goals of the union were common and he had to stand by those. The second part of the question: what barrier was there initially prevented him from changing his attitude regarding the union? Now, when he becomes a supervisor and he finds that the management thinks that the union is not justified and management should not let go of its controls, he gets angry. He feels that the management is not well informed, or the management has not studied the situation well, and the management is biased towards the workers, which means it's pro management, or the person is pro management. Now that makes it, or makes his situation, that he is considering that the management is not being fair. Now that is bound to come because his sense of belongingness, his sense of commitment to the group that he belonged to before becoming a supervisor is there. His basic formation, his basic learning has come while being a worker. 5 years is a long period of time. So he still feels or has a sense of belongingness to the group which is there. The other barrier is that he has not been exposed to the other information or the other side, which is the management side which is there. He has not yet been exposed to the management viewpoints. He has not been exposed to why a management thinks like that, why a management feels that this is how it should be handled. So these two barriers did not let him change his attitude immediately. So to change his attitude, it had to take its time. That's where the second question comes in and is there. Why did Rohit's attitude change? What factors accounted for this? What brought about the change in Rohit's attitude? And why did he change the attitude? We've seen that two incidents changed Rohit's attitude, which means two unpleasant incidents made him realize that probably the sense of belongingness or the sense of sharing which he shared or which he had for the union was not as strong as he believed. Secondly, he realized that putting in the processes and the laws in place was not easy. He realized that getting work done is a different ball game than only executing work. Once Rohit realized these changes, he went through a couple of unpleasant experiences. He started realizing that he needs to change his attitude. He needs to have a more wider approach and a wider thought process to the whole situation and review it holistically. Now, the factors which accounted for the change were the unpleasant experience, the overall exposure to the whole management process, the understanding of the situation from both the ends, and the difficulty in execution of the job made him change his attitude. This leads on to the third question, which is a hypothetical question in this case, which is, are workers who are recruited for supervisory positions likely to go through the same attitude changes as Rohit did? Which means, are workers who are upgraded from the worker platform to a supervisory level willing to change their attitude as Rohit did? Now this is a tricky question. Why is it a tricky question? It's a tricky question because this represents a human behavior pattern. Some people will go through this change like Rohit did, which means he realized the whole picture. He understood that his attitude and his behavior had a lot more to do with the running of the organization and the smooth functioning of the organization than his personal opinion. While another individual may not tend to believe like that, and he may keep his patterns or his behavior situations closed into a box. He may not want to change or bring about the changes which are there and tend to think in the same format as he was when he was on the other side of the table. If the happenings and the situations in a given case bear positive results for the organization, the people would tend to go in for a change. If the results seem to be negative, they would not really want to go in for a change despite the aspect that they are being promoted higher on the hierarchy. What needs to be understood is that attitude will only go in for a change if and when there are factors which can affect and influence the whole process which is there. If those factors can show and give the results which are positive for the organizations, a person may go in for a change in his attitude and approach. If that does not happen, a person is not going to go through the attitudinal changes and perhaps not work out well for the organization in the longer run. With this, we have answered all the three questions thrown at us. But what we all need to understand is that it's not only about these three questions, it's a live case scenario which is happening in an organization. It's a scenario which all of us may encounter in our working lives. We may be the Rohit in this case, or we may be the management in this case, or we may be the worker in this case. What we need to understand is that organizations are complex situations, and so is the behavior and the attitude. We have to find workable, viable solutions and means to handle and tackle them. I hope you've had insight into how cases are to be viewed and how cases are to be understood. Thank you very much.